Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
The following live program is sponsored by Breakthrough Ideas.
AM 560, The Answer. It's time for breaking news, expert insight, and informed commentary on what's happening in Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. Because an informed citizenry is the only way to protect our republic. It's time for The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson.
All right, we have another canary in the coal mine as Tyson closes today. After a massive announcement just a couple days ago, they are closing their plant today, and there goes 2,500 people. Here's the report on that.
More than 2,500 people learned yesterday that they're...
2,500 jobs in a tiny town.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. That can destroy a town.
All right, well, let's listen to the local reporting on this.
More than 2,500 people learned yesterday that they're losing their jobs at the Tyson beef processing plant in Joslin. The company says it's making strategic changes to its beef business. Tyson Foods says it's going to move its central U.S. beef businesses around Dakota City, Nebraska, Holcomb, Kansas, and Amarillo, Texas. The company mentions a cattle shortage as one of the reasons for the layoffs. And that's video there that shows moments after employees learned that their jobs were coming to an end. When they walked into work yesterday, they had no idea what was about to happen. That includes Jenny Arianas and her sons and daughters, who all worked at the plant. She said she's worried about her family and her former co-workers, including immigrant employees who are still sponsored by Tyson Foods.
You think about this and you think about the detrimental effects in our community, and especially the minority community. I mean, we have people here at Tyson that were sponsored through Tyson to work here. So their employment is now terminated at Tyson. They have 60 days to leave the country. They're not legally allowed to work anywhere else because they were sponsored by Tyson. And you've got people that have been working here since, like my father-in-law, 33 years. He's 66 years old. Where's he going to go now? Who's going to hire him now?
Tyson says its workers will...
All right. Well, J.B. Pritzker's response to that was this.
It's honestly, the loss of jobs there is a tragedy. It's a tragedy that was caused by the very high cost of beef across the country.
Well, we know that's a lie because they just said where they're moving the plants to.
Yeah, exactly.
In Amarillo, Texas, different locations, friendlier states where it's better to do business.
Well, somebody who knows a lot about this is an actual beef farmer, one of the few actual people who do real work in the state house, and that's Chris Miller. State Representative Chris Miller, what is going on here? What is the real story?
Well, thank you, girls, for giving me an opportunity to actually drill down on the real story because I have several, a family up there that buys bulls from me. They run around 250 cows, and they feed up to the maximum they've ever fed is 8,000 head a year. So these people understand the fat cattle market, and I knew that they would know the inside story on what was really going on at Tyson. And I know that they say that the local chatter is that if this plant was in Iowa, it wouldn't be closing, because the reality is it's closing because of the cost of doing business here in the state of Illinois. The out-of-control taxes, the regulations, the cost of electricity, workman's comps, and the list goes on and on. It's just that J.B. Pritzker and the radical Democrats have created an extremely hostile environment for any business to be profitable. And like I say, J.B. Pritzker was either just gaslighting the people or out and out lying to them, because the price of cattle has nothing to do with this, because we all know by their own admission, I know for a fact that my friends in Iowa told me about the plant in Amarillo. They just built a brand new facility down there, a killing floor that can handle up to 3,000 head a day. And so what they're going to do is they're going to run 2 shifts rather than 1. And so they're going to kill 6,000 a day. So there's really not obviously not a cattle shortage or animals that are available to slaughter. And so there's always a little bit of truth in reporting, but what you have to do is understand Pinocchio Pritzker is at it again, just telling lie after lie, doubling down. All this is a result of his bad public policies that are driving more businesses out of the state, and Tyson is just the latest people that have woke up and knew that they could do business in another state and be more profitable. And businesses are in business to make money.
Yeah, we should tell people Jocelyn, Illinois is a tiny town in Rock Island County. Population 85 according to Wikipedia, but you have 2,500 people. They have spouses, they have children. What's going to happen to the local schools, the local hospitals? Because it's a large amount of people.
No, it's an extremely large amount of people. The only thing that I don't like about it is actually the way that Tyson did it. There was no warning. They just came in one day and said, "Hey, close the door, we're moving." But I mean, I get it, and they maybe didn't want to deal with all of the drama to announce this earlier and then have to go through all the drama with the media and this and that. And but it's a real tragedy for the state of Illinois and the area. But the biggest thing that I want people to understand is Pinocchio Pritzker is lying to you again about this. This is all the direct result of his bad public policy.
Well, they're not the only ones that are going to have to leave. You also told me about this story. The Illinois winery down in your neck of the woods, well, down a little even further south, Williamson County. Just get a taste of this report on that.
Two well-known Southern Illinois businesses announced today they are permanently closing their doors. And the man behind both of them says increasing property taxes have made it impossible to continue operating. Walker's Bluff Winery and the Frenchman's Widow in Heron both announced their permanent closures on Wednesday. Brad Elders, who operates both businesses, told us over the phone that decisions were not made overnight. He said the situation came to a head several weeks ago when the latest property tax bills arrived.
This actually started a few weeks back when we got our property taxes, and it's just getting so outrageous, man, that we can't afford to pay the taxes and to keep the business running.
Elders said the Walker's Bluff property includes roughly 232 acres spanning Jackson and Williamson County, with most of the winery property located in Jackson County and more than 100 acres in Williamson County. He said the Williamson County portion of the property taxes increased by another $8,000 compared with last year.
All right. And apparently his overall property tax bill is close to $400,000. That's what he said later on in that report. I mean, Chris, come on. It doesn't take a rocket science to know exactly what's happening. Big business, smaller business. People are leaving over taxes again.
Yeah, I don't know how many times the Democrats have to see this movie before they'll figure it out that people are leaving because of them. And, there isn't any... I mean, just think about how many bottles of wine you have to sell just to pay your doggone real estate taxes. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But I know that when I look across the other side of the aisle, most of these business people don't come out of the private sector, and they don't understand economics, simple economics. And I know that I've been thinking about introducing some legislation to make them go through a mental health evaluation and maybe pee in a bottle just to see where they're at.
Yeah, I think that's all really good ideas. Hey, listen, this was just a quick hit with you. We really appreciate the fact that we have an actual farmer, an actual beef farmer who can tell us the real story, because you're right. The leftists on the other side, they come from like the nonprofits area, from the community organizing areas, from maybe some sort of legal thing. They don't do real stuff. They don't do real work like you do. So, Chris, we really appreciate your comments today.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me on. This is an important topic.
Absolutely. We'll continue this conversation. And in fact, we're going to continue this conversation past this break with State Senator Lee Arellano. He'll weigh in on both Tyson Foods and the Tollway hikes.
Subscribe to the Real Story Podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at 560theanswer.com.
It's peaceful here. Quiet. But it wasn't always. Here, the past isn't confined to textbooks or museums. It's in the soil, a pulse within the earth. Here, you can walk in step with history, where others once marched towards the unknown. The past is never really behind us. It's here, under our feet. The land never forgets the stride of the weary or the reach of the hopeful. The land remembers. And so does the American Battlefield Trust, dedicated to preserving America's hallowed battlegrounds. Now, on our nation's 250th birthday, become a member so the next acre becomes the next chapter. The next chapter becomes the next lesson. Join the trust. Protect the future. Go to battlefields.org.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
When George Washington accepted command of the Continental Army, Americans were fighting a king and determined not to replace one form of unchecked power with another. Washington understood the difference between authority and ownership. In 1775, he declared, "When we assume the soldier, we did not lay aside the citizen." Even as commander of America's army, Washington remembered that he remained one of the people and that the power entrusted to him was never his to keep. He did not fight to rule America. He fought so Americans could govern themselves. Washington's example gave the young nation something more than victory. It gave America a standard for leadership. Those who hold power must remain accountable to the people they serve, because in a free nation, leadership is not ownership. It is a duty and a trust.
Summer in Chicago. Don't spend it painting. Do what your neighbor Ken did. He called Rhino Shield.
We bought the house 30 years ago in 1995. It's cedar lap siding. The stain that was put on the house, it only lasted about 7 years.
You see, Rhino Shield ceramic technology is formulated specifically for our unique climate right here in Chicago and stands up to our extreme temperature swings.
And then I saw a house that was done in Rhino Shield, and it looked absolutely gorgeous. And I started hearing about the fact that it's got a 25-year warranty on it that's transferable.
Rhino Shield resists chipping, flaking, and peeling, and it is backed by our extraordinary 25-year warranty.
While it costs more initially for Rhino Shield, over the life of the product, it's a lot less.
Chicago, get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 10% off the regular price. This offer is for a limited time, so call now, 847-850-1132 or ChicagoRhinoShield.com.
Go Rhino Shield.
AM 560, The Answer.
Don't say all that. Welcome back to The Real Story. We're going to continue our conversation.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to continue with Lee Arellano. He's another one of those folks on the Republican side who actually has done real stuff in his life and knows how business works. He's a former small business owner. He also cleaned up the mess in Dixon after the Crudwell
Steal-a-thon?
Steal-a-thon. Right?
Yeah, former mayor of Dixon.
What, $52 million? Some outrageous amount of money.
She lived high on the hog, man.
He's also former military, so that's great. Father of 5 now. Father of 5. I mean, talk about getting real. You're not quite at State Rep Chris Miller's level, 7 kids and I think 23 grandchildren, but he's getting there. And he joins us right now, State Senator Lee Arellano. Thank you so much for joining us on The Real Story.
Hey, great to be back on with you, Jeannie.
Yeah, no. Okay, so this is the hot deal. You got quoted in the Chicago Tribune. This is a devastating blow for Northwest Illinois, and especially the Quad Cities metro that is already being hammered by economic losses across the border to Iowa. I mean, and it couldn't be more obvious. Obviously, Tyson's got a plant in Iowa and elsewhere. This is not. They're closing down because of our economics policy here in Illinois, don't you think?
Yeah, this is absolutely part of a pattern. And each one of these major companies that leave, in this case over 2,500 jobs with huge ripple effects, there's always an excuse for why it's happening. Well, there's there's drought. Those are all true, but that's not why when a company restructures, it restructures away from Illinois so consistently instead of into Illinois. So Tyson was going to go through some changes. We want to be where they come. And I would relate it to why our young people leave. They go off to college. They're going to start a career somewhere. Why are so often, more than almost any other state, they're choosing to do that outside of Illinois, even when this is their birthplace, right? And the answer is the business climate, the economic opportunity, the cost of living, the affordability. It's not as positive as other states. And so this isn't happening in a vacuum. This is part of a much longer trend of major brand names and producers and employers. When they get put in a position to have to restructure, they choose to restructure away from Illinois instead of into Illinois.
Well, do you think Governor Pritzker got higher up at Tyson? Because Tyson even said that this was spurred by, quote, historic cattle shortages.
Right. And you know, what you see is, I was talking to Tyson last year, these dynamics are already there. They were still trying to stay committed to Illinois at that time, and they were pulling out of other states. And obviously, sometime over the course of this past year, that calculus changed, and Illinois, you know, is no longer on that list of the places they're restructuring into. You know, the governor's very much invested in this. Everything's rosy. You know, he's running for re-election, wants to be president, I think. He's very much invested, and this is not Illinois' fault, right? And it's definitely not his fault. No responsibility for this. And my answer to that is, you control what you can control. The drought issue is real. The pressures on the meat packaging industry are real. We can't control those things. We can control how fast electricity costs are spiking for Illinois producers and manufacturers. You know, electricity costs, just like they are for families, are outpacing the growth in the nation and our surrounding states. Property taxes are outpacing the nation. Business mandates, unfunded from the state, put on to large employers are outpacing the nation. And we know groups like the Illinois Manufacturers Association and Illinois Chamber have repeatedly predicted correctly that we're going to continue to lose businesses more often than we gain them in these kind of scenarios. It's part of a pattern.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, plus we've got all these brand new laws that go into place. Everything from remember the law where if you signed in with a digital footprint or with something and you weren't, it wasn't disclosed to you that they're using your personal information to sign the biometric data. I mean, that massive, like just stupid laws all the time. I mean, and let's not forget though, it's still under Pritzker. Almost 4 years ago, Tyson moved its 500 corporate employees based in Chicago and Downers Grove to its headquarters in Arkansas. I mean, they saw the writing on the wall a long time ago, and they kept 500 jobs across Chicago. You know, it's part of a restructuring job too program. So I mean,
absolutely. I represent a lot of Caterpillar employers. You know, the southern part of my district goes into the city of Peoria and into Peoria County. It covers some of Mossville Caterpillar plant. They've been making similar moves steadily over time as well. All of these companies are part of a pattern. And so the answer here isn't that we're going to be able to save them all or that we should even try, and we certainly don't want taxpayer bailouts. What we're saying is we need to improve our business climate in Illinois that we know is terrible so that companies choose Illinois to grow, to expand, or when they're restructuring because of a poor economy for their particular industry, they're restructuring into Illinois instead of away from Illinois. And that is what the governor is dodging because he wants to make it look like this is completely out of control. There's nothing we can do. It reminds me when he was talking about property taxes not too long ago. I said, well, that's not the state problem. And he ignored, we're cutting school funding formally. We're cutting all the support, you know, municipal funding for LGDF while passing more unfunded mandates on local governments. Of course that drives property taxes. He's always looking for it to be somebody else's fault, and it's just not something he can control. And he manipulates to pass that message.
Well, and the latest is that, it's not his fault that the tolls are increasing. He appointed the entire Tollway board. I mean,
right, and they were unanimous. So you're trying to tell me, Governor, that you have so little influence that all of these folks who relied on you to get this position, not one of them would vote against this, even when there was overwhelming public pressure to not increase it. I mean, I represent the furthest west part of I-88 where the Tollway starts. My residents know. They remember the promise that we were building this and get rid of it once it was built and maintain it normally. They remember that promise being broken. And they remember most recently during veto session that these tolls, a good chunk of them now, is going to go into Chicago to bail out mass transit, not even build Chicago roads, just purely for the mass transit specific to Chicago because it was poorly run. And so now my constituents are commuting in closer to the city, paying these increased tolls, automatic inflation adjustments, record increases, and it's not going to their region or our region or into their businesses or families or transportation. And they know this, and they're very, very angry about it. Yet not one member of the Tollway Authority represented those voices and said, you know what, I'm going to vote no because somebody needs to give voice to all of these folks who remember the broken promises and are frustrated at the lack of reform. There needs to be a contrarian minority voice speaking up. And so, Governor, yes, that's on you. These are all your representatives, and clearly they did a poor job reflecting all of the opinions about how this is working.
Well, State Senator, I want you to hear from Pritzker himself, Pinocchio Pritzker, yesterday at the State Fair when asked about it.
Let's be clear. We want to make sure that our roads are pothole-free, that we're making sure to build more so that we can build our economy across the state of Illinois.
I mean, but people need to know this. So if you have an iPass, come January 1st, it's going to go up 45 cents. If you don't have an iPass, because we have a lot of visitors and family and friends that come to visit, your toll's going to go up 90 cents. And the worst is the truckers, because that's a 30% increase, and that cost is going to be passed on to consumers no matter what we buy. Here's a trucker.
Take a look at all the trucks out here and take a look at all the commuting everybody's doing. I mean, they're now paying for higher gas rates, and you're going to slam them with higher toll rates on top of it? What's next?
They trying to make us drivers, and not just, truck drivers, but everybody. They trying to make everybody pay more, and the world is already expensive.
But this is how they put it. So it's going to garnish $26.5 billion, and they want that to reduce congestion, they said, and to modernize the tollway system. So are they trying to drive us out of our cars?
There's absolutely multiple agendas at play here. And one of them is to keep these inflated costs for maintenance instead of addressing the reforms needed to bring it down.
Exactly.
We pay way more per maintenance mile in Illinois. I've seen studies ranging from 130 to 150% more than most states for maintenance miles for our transportation costs. And we mentioned Chicago Mass Transit. I've seen studies saying they're as much as double other major big cities, which is crazy considering they're not even majorly underground. Typically, underground systems are more expensive to maintain. Chicago's isn't nearly as underground as some other big cities, and they're almost double the average maintenance mile. So there's reforms here needed, not even for government efficiency, just for normal government costs, not efficient government. And we're not doing that. Instead, we're going to tax people more. We're going to raise fees to just cover all of it. And people are going to continue to leave the state. That's the response. People vote with their feet, whether they're Tyson Foods or Caterpillar or our children leaving for college and never coming back.
Yeah, okay, so the other thing about it is the most congested roads, from my opinion, okay, I don't have a study in front of me or anything to quote you on this, but honestly, it's the ones that aren't tolled.
Right.
So like
Stevenson,
290, 57,
Oh, yeah.
You're not, Governor Pritzker, you're not really relieving congestion.
No.
And by the way,
it'll be worse.
Right, because people take
more people are going to shift away from the tolls to these other roads. So I would argue that some of those roads are actually going to get worse.
Yeah, and then you know what they're going to try and do? Because they already sold off the Skyway, and then they sold off the parking meters, and then they sold off their sales tax revenue for the next 30 years so they could get a lower debt rating and put in a special fund. They're going to try and sell the tolls. Or they're going to try and put a toll lane next to like 55, which has been proposed, by the way. And so they're going to sell like a public asset, which is that easement, that right of way. They're going to sell it off because they're so freaking indebted.
Yeah, there's a long history of very short-term thinking for our financial problems, and then the next generation gets the problem, but even worse. And we've done several generations of that can kicking in many different ways in Illinois. So, you could be right. I would not be surprised. There are.
I wouldn't put it past them, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't.
Right.
No, these guys are nuts. Right. Okay. Hey, we got to leave it right there. I want to thank you so much for your informed commentary. Lee Arellano, he is a state senator out of the 37th District. We really appreciate your work down in Springfield. You're one of the good guys. Thank you so much for what you do for the people of Illinois, standing up for them against these Marxists.
Thanks for the opportunity to chat with your listeners.
You bet.
All right, have a great day.
Alex Marlowe explains consequences of open borders.
Think about what Joe Biden did the second he became president. He stopped building the border wall. Remain in Mexico went away, which meant you come here, you say, I declare asylum. We said, cool, come on in. Do you want a bus to Boston, or how about a plane flight to Chicago? Can we help you out with that? That's how we behaved. So stupid, so self-destructive.
The Alex Marlowe Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fox News, I'm CJ Pop. A short day in the trial of Lindsay Clancy, the Massachusetts mom accused of killing her kids.
We don't know why this jury was dismissed so early. About 2 hours into what was supposed to be a full day of testimony, the judge questioned them, but we don't know about what.
That's Fox's Brian Yennis in Plymouth. The judge said tomorrow will be a lengthy day. A sick juror cancels court in the multi-state youth addiction trial against Meta in Oakland, California. Meta is accused of targeting children and teens on those social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. The United States sends 20 deportees to Liberia, part of 1,200 migrants that the African country will receive under a new deal. They arrived there earlier, the deal among the largest third country deportations driven by the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon will bring mostly sunny skies, pleasant conditions, and lower humidity with a high of 80. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 61. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of clouds and sunshine with the possibility of a heavy thunderstorm later in the day or evening. These thunderstorms could result in flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts with a high of 81. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available only at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. Or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks. Security under your control.
All right. Last year, I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover. Jeannie and I are having a sideshow during the show. And I'm loving it. Jeannie, you've seen my garage. You love it. It's all. See, Jeannie Ives says, my garage is awesome, and you can have an awesome garage, too, if you call our good friends at Level 10 Coatings. It still looks great, shiny and clean. Level 10 Coatings. You've got to call these guys. If your garage floor is cracked, stained, uneven, they level it out. Oh, yeah, and don't think, you know what, I don't want to remove any junk. They'll do that for you. And when it's done, they will put it back. I went to work, I came home, and it was done. A shiny new gleaming garage floor, a quick, easy fix, does not chip, guaranteed to never chip, or I'll be calling them. It never will, because it's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10 coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer your questions. And guess what? They don't only do garage floors. They do basements, sidewalks, patios, outdoor spaces, commercial properties as well in Northwest Indiana, Chicago, and Southeast Michigan. Big or small, they covered them all. Again, the number to call is 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
The mainstream media isn't just biased, they're hiding stories from you, deliberately. Restoration News is changing that. With elite researchers and fearless writers, Restoration News is the conservative media force fighting back in the information war for America's future. Download the Restoration News mobile app today or visit restoration-news.com. That's restoration-news.com. Real stories, real truth. It's time you knew what they don't want you to know.
Hi, I'm Dr. Huber with Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Did you know it has 23 natural ingredients in it that work together synergistically? We have nutraceuticals like quercetin, luteolin, fisetin, and lactoferrin. Each of them has such great properties in themselves. Together, they synergistically create a really powerful super immune boost. Not only that, Virago includes specialized mitochondrial energy factors like R-alpha-lipoic acid, CoQ10, and resveratrol to give your cells the energy they need to power your immune system. The ultimate immune boost starts with Virago. Discover Virago today. Join me Friday, August 28th at Sean Fest and hear me interviewed by the great Sean Thompson, a true patriot.
Order your bottle of Virago today. Visit myvirago.com. Use the coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeanne Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
AM 560. The Answer.
I just remember as a family, everybody getting change and putting it in the car's ashtray. So when we would travel to see Grandma and Grandpa or go downtown, we would fight to see who's going to throw the money in the basket. And it started out as 10 cents, then went to 15, and then I think straight to 25. But we were always told it was going to go away. Yeah. Always told that.
Well, I mean, I grew up in South Dakota. We don't have toll roads at all. And by the way, the speed limit's 80 on the interstates, which is awesome right now. But I didn't really see a toll until I went to West Point. And then, of course, when you're ever using the New Jersey Turnpike, that's what my first introduction to tolls. So this was all kind of foreign to me until I was older. So I didn't have that pleasure of fighting with my siblings over who's going to throw the quarter in.
And then you'd always have traffic backups because somebody would always miss the basket. And then people would get out of their cars. And then you had toll booth operators who all that can smoke, and before we had emissions testing and all that they inhaled. But it was
well, Rick
we always was told it was going to go away.
Rick in Des Plaines, he has memories too of the tollway. Rick, welcome to The Real Story.
Good morning, Jeannie. Good morning, Amy.
Hey, Rick, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I do have memories. I remember I used to keep 35 cents in the ashtray, like you said.
Yep.
$35 wrapped around that driver's license. If you got pulled over, that's all she said. I still remember. I'm not kidding. I still remember the bumper stickers on the car. They used to say toll free by 73, and that was Governor Stratton. That's Juliana Stratton's, I believe, father or uncle, one of the two.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think there's any relationship.
I think you should look it up. I think I might be right on this one.
All right. Well, we're definitely going to look at that.
All right.
For sure.
I'll see you both at Sean Fest, I hope.
Oh.
I'll go if you pay my tolls.
tickets.
If you pay my tolls, I'll go. No, it's free.
I'll pay
You
your
just have to
tolls.
sign up.
Amy, I'll pay your tolls, and I'll buy your beers.
Okay. You know what? I'll consider it. Because
Yeah,
I'd
me
love
too.
to catch up. Yeah.
That'd be
I
kind
love
of fun.
you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rick.
We love you
Appreciate the
too.
phone
Thank
call.
you so much
Yeah.
for listening. Oh, that's great. I don't see a Governor Stratton of Illinois.
Well, look,
because there wasn't one.
You know what? There's so much fiscal malfeasance in this state, and actually in the city of Chicago as well. And so we're going to go and flip to a different topic similar to
I'm
this.
so sorry. I have to correct myself. We did have a William G. Stratton serve as the 32nd governor of Illinois from 1953 to 1961, and he was a Republican.
Yeah, but was he related to Juliana Stratton? No. No, I don't believe so. Okay, well,
Thank you. I just wanted to correct myself.
Maybe you can go to, what is that?
Ancestry.com
and go figure this one out for us, Amy. You do that in your, after you're done with volleyball practice. Go ahead. Anyway, back to spending, because that's what we are focused on today. We've got Nicole Patrice back with us. So appreciate her. She's got a great Substack that people should subscribe to. That's Nicole Patrice Substack, and her latest one, "Displaced in Plain Sight: How Chicago Spent Millions on Migrant Shelters While Woodlawn's Obama Presidential Center housing promises Went Mostly Ignored." And she marries up two really important aspects of spending. First of all, they spent a lot on migrants. She's definitely right about that. And then they promised all of these residents in the Woodlawn area that, we've got all these covenants. You're going to be protected when the Obama Center moves in, and you will be protected against gentrification. None of that happened. And so this is misplaced priorities. And actual, you know what it is? It's lies. They're lying to the people once again. And they're putting the burden on people on the west and the south sides that they never put on anybody else. And so she joins us now to talk about this particular article that she wrote. Nicole, thank you so much for being on The Real Story.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, so this is a fairly complicated Substack because you do weave in these two ideas. Where would you want to start? Do you want to start with what they did in terms of migrant spending and where they sent the migrants?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the crux of where, everything kind of starts as far as my involvement, because I'm witnessing this. But yeah, Woodlawn in particular, being right there, at the border of the Obama Library, a lot of Black residents, a lot of Black population in Woodlawn, South Shore. And it's just, we got Jeanette Taylor, who sponsored this ordinance with Lori Lightfoot and I think Hairston. And, they are very vocal about Black representation and Black displacement. And, Obama himself kind of represents that dream of hope and change for, our neighborhoods and, of course, coming out of Chicago. So it's hard to not, compare those things with how also those shelters opened up in Woodlawn and affected, I think they put some of them in South Shore High School with that Olympic pool, and they were, there was a lawsuit behind that. So there's like a lot, there's a lot that happened in Woodlawn that can't be ignored, especially when you put it side by side with what happened with the Obama Library. We put parkland with it's like a $1 or $10 lease for like 100 years or something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like, you're using up public funds, using up public space, public lands, and you're not talking to the people who built those communities. They've been there for, years, decades, generations. So that to me, is something we need to look at, is how the spending just kind of all sped up for the migrant crisis, and kind of was like a payday in some ways when you look at it, especially with what came out with the audit report of the, favorite healthcare, basically having people set aside to do nothing for, millions of dollars. So,
yeah, favorite staffing, right. Yeah, $78 million. The Auditor General report saying that they basically had these people on call and they were never called up to do any actual work. I mean, that's a lot of money that could have been used in these communities that desperately are asking for it and need it. And you're right, though, instead of keeping the promises that they made, they pushed the migrants into areas where you already had problems and issues.
Big problems. Yeah. Big problems. Unemployment, the schools, infrastructure, big problems.
Yeah, but the problem is, too, that we're a sanctuary city, and people don't realize that goes back to Harold Washington. Can you talk about that in the 80s?
Yeah, and so, immediately, like when this all started happening, I really had to go dig in, and because the framing of it is, there's your first Black mayor of Chicago, so, hey, you should be down with this because he looks like you. And it's like, when you look at what was written into the policy, it was basically just to strictly restrict the Chicago police from cooperating with federal immigration, meaning not necessarily cooperating, but just like not diverting our attention and our funds to that. We can still hold somebody and say, hey, this guy has committed a crime. He's not here legally. You guys need to come pick him up. That's that's like a novel idea. And then on top of that, the spending. A lot of that sanctuary policy grew out of churches, I believe out of like Utah and, like the Mormon culture and things like that, where, back in like, I think the 60s, they kind of all were on that, like, humanitarian crises and, the way of, Christ, we would have to accommodate these people, but that's a church function. Churches are already nonprofits, so like they if they are saying they're going to take care of these people, that's one thing. But then to turn around and now burden taxpayers, Black and brown people that you stand up, as Brandon Johnson always, mentions, that you stand up and advocate for, that you're working for them on their behalf, that they should vote for you because they look like you and you are, advocating for them. But then you're using Mayor Washington's legacy and smearing it as basically just throwing a blank check at whatever friends and NGOs you guys want to accommodate. You had research, you had history with favorite staffing, kind of being overpriced. And then you turned around and you wrote them a blank check.
Yeah, but also, too, they were claiming that, 80 hours a week. Nobody was vetting that. They could put anything they wanted down on that time card and nobody checked it.
Exactly. So essentially, it's a blank check. And I think Brandon came out yesterday and he was talking to the press and mentioned like us writing blank checks for, the federal government. But it's like, you need to worry about your own backyard.
Well, speaking of blank checks, what I really do like about this Substack that you did is that you did a chart here, who waited and who got paid first. And it's a side-to-side comparison over the Woodlawn Housing Preservation Ordinance, which was a promise made explicitly in anticipation of the Obama Center driving up land values to protect the neighborhood from the displacement everyone knew was coming. That's what you wrote. Yep. And you say 52 city-owned vacant lots were set aside for affordable housing, 7 separate programs, rehab grants, a tenant right of first refusal pilot, a developer loan fund, a rent stabilization finance tool, and a local jobs pipeline. Boy, did you do your homework. And then you put on this chart. You show that Woodlawn Housing Preservation Ordinance, there were supposed to be 52 lots. Only one vacant lot promised for affordable housing was actually built on in the 5 years since that ordinance passed. Only one. Meanwhile, you had $400 million plus spent by the city on migrant shelter and services from 22 to 24. I mean, they can't get a darn thing done unless it's politically motivated on the radical progressive side. They're not doing anything for the other one. 3 out of 7 ordinance programs never got off of the ground. 3 out of the 7, I read to you those, 7 separate programs, rehab grants, tenant right of first, they never even got out of the ground, 3 out of 7. But they spent $1 billion from the state on migrant response through mid-2025. I mean, it just goes on and on. Goes back to, I'm sorry, Pritzker's a liar, and so are his minions. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're saying we're going to do all this, and then they're shifting the money and doing entirely something else.
Yeah, it just felt like COVID part 2. It's like, oh, well, we're going to figure out how to get these funds and give them out to whomever and lose a few $1,000s in the process, unaccounted for, and millions given out to who knows that we're not tracking. I definitely, again, I'm involved in the Woodlawn area. I understand some of its needs very, intimately, and just seeing, this Letitia Bolden story too, wherein she basically got a letter saying that, she's got to get out in 30 days. She's a nurse, lives in Woodlawn, and this ordinance should have protected her. But instead, they can bypass the ordinance's, what felt good on paper, the right of first refusal, allowing her to, be able to buy the property if possible and, get together with her neighbors and figure that out. But there's no mechanism where the city enforces it. So no one's been able to advocate on their behalf for that because, the landlord just does what they want. And people, they have to figure out how to get, kids somewhere safe, get to their job every day. And then also part 2, you got to fight the city.
Well, yeah, it's such a racket. Same with the tollway system. When they raised them, they made the announcement yesterday. They said, but if you're having problems paying your tolls, here's an email to send a request to. Come on. No one's checking that email. They don't give a rat's patoo about anybody.
Well, that's like the electricity, just a little side conversation here. That's like them raising the electric rates because they have all this green energy scam stuff going on that naturally does that. And then on the back saying, oh, but we're putting more into LIHEAP, low income, energy assistance program. Stop it.
So how do we make sure that this never happens again, Nicole?
Elect different people.
Definitely. That's number one. But don't just select anybody. You need to understand what these people really believe. Like the DSA, I'm not saying, Brandon Johnson's under and Pritzker are under cartel watch or but their behavior is very it's very criminal in so many ways. And the idea that they're being transparent when they get on, TV and in front of the press and literally lie straight out of their mouths about the facts should be evident to anybody. So yeah, you can't just go with the feel good thing. You got to pick people who you understand what they really value and the money is where their mouth is. Follow the money, get down to City Hall. Watch what your elected officials are actually putting on the floor, what they're voting for, what they're opposing, and really understand that, like, if you can see how they're moving at this speed for the migrants, all these things that they were able to do, all these millions of dollars they were able to throw at this, and not to mention, you still see, I know I'm not alone, you still see these mothers, they look like they're Venezuelan migrants, standing on corners with their children in traffic, asking for money. And it's like, so we gave all this money for programs and it still did nothing. You were on television, about wraparound services and humanitarian need. You took yourself to Washington and defended somewhat what you were doing. And it still, where is the results? And so it's the same thing. So you threw this money away on the migrants at warp speed, but then, the residents, long-term residents in South Shore and Woodlawn still are looking around going, where's our help? And so we got to do something different.
All right. She's Nicole Patrice. She writes at nicolepatrice.substack.com. She's new to this conversation. We really appreciate her writing and her commentary. And because she's doing this, more people will be informed. So thanks a lot, Nicole, for what you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you guys for what you're doing. I appreciate you so much.
God bless. More of your phone calls and comments, 312-642-5600.
This is the show that the Chicago Press Corps and the Democrats in Springfield don't want you to hear. It's the real story on AM 560. The Answer.
American Custom Flooring in Niles is hosting a one-day customer appreciation event. Enjoy free food and drinks from 9 to 3 on Saturday, August 22nd. Save big on all countertops. Browse beautiful slabs on display or peruse through hundreds of remnant pieces for smaller projects. If you've shopped for countertops before, you know the hassle. The person who sells the countertops isn't the one measuring, fabricating, or installing. At American Custom Flooring, your countertop orders are handled under one roof, and you'll work with the same person from start to finish. With a 20,000 square foot showroom and a 30,000 square foot warehouse, choose the perfect stone for your home. Plus, you won't pay for wasted material. Don't miss their one-day event, Saturday, August 22nd, or step into the showroom today, located just north of Howard and Caldwell in Niles. Learn more at AAmericanFlooring.com. American Custom Flooring, your one-stop shop for flooring, cabinets, and countertops.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family-owned with integrity since 1981.
AM 560. The Answer.
Text message 847. Pritzker is making every Illinois citizen a slave. Jeanne and Amy, this is from 773. The increase in tolls is really a tariff on commerce. And this is a great one from 847. Coincidence, today, August 20th, 1958, the first tollway segment opened. I remember 2 lanes in each direction. Today expanded to 4 lanes, 5 in congested areas. So thank you.
Oh, maybe we should have a party. Like, where's the
Oh, yeah,
celebration?
right.
Where's Pritzker's tollway board?
Oh, Rob Blagojevich had one.
Yeah. Celebrating, how many years is that?
Don't make me do the math, girl. Don't you dare. Thought we were friends.
It's like, what, 68 years?
Sure,
or
something like that.
68 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyhow.
68 years of screwing you over.
Or why just put, we lied.
Okay, we're going to take this call, but first, about that tollway board.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The chairman is Rivera. He's the founding executive director of the Chicago Education Alliance, a nonprofit organization that convenes and aligns to mobilize partners across Chicago's education advocacy landscape.
Smells
to
like
drive
hemp.
impact, collective impact. Collective impact. This guy's a
Collective.
socialist. Who writes this kind of garbage? Oh, he was the chief administrative and equity officer at Navy Pier. Okay. All right. Jim Connolly, proud member of the Laborers Union. Enough said. Jacqueline Fuentes. She's an experienced leader in inclusive initiatives, diverse business development programming, and workforce development strategies. Manish
Any
Mehta
Republicans
is
on
a
that
lawyer. Melissa Nettermeyer is a lawyer and the mayor of Willow Springs. Forget that. Scott Paddock's a medical professional.
And they each make $31,000 a year.
Jim
for
Sweeney. Jim
a few
Sweeney.
meetings.
He's local 150 in charge of that. And then this Mark Wright guy. He's
Well,
some sort
Sweeney
of,
makes what,
I don't know.
$631,000 a year
the
plus.
whole board is a joke, a total joke.
Well, they were appointed by Pritzker. This is that a boy, pay you back, and it was a unanimous decision. And they're saying, well, we haven't had a toll increase in 15 years.
Too bad.
Well, we shouldn't even have tolls.
I know. Okay, let's go to Andrew Quick in Arlington, Wisconsin.
Hi, I did a quick check on Juliana Stratton. Governor William Stratton, born 1914, was married twice, had 3 daughters. Juliana Stratton was born Juliana Wiggins in 1965. Her first husband was named William Stratton, unrelated. There you go.
Hey, thanks for love it.
Love
That's the
our
real
listeners.
story.
Love our listeners.
All right, let's go to Scooter on the south side. Scooter, you got about
Hello,
30
ladies.
seconds.
All right, I just wanted to say there was a DJ back in the late 70s, 80s. He talked about putting echo waivers in the toll booth. You remember that guy?
Oh, yeah, so did
That guy?
Steve Dahl, and I'm guilty of it. We used to throw those in there. Worked beautifully.
Did they
Why
really?
don't say no?
It did.
Toll shame me.
But I liked them more than I wanted to throw them in there, so. All right,
so you
ladies,
ate them
you
all.
take care.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's an
well.
old-fashioned candy. I love
And
that.
echo
Thanks a lot,
wafers.
Scooter. Appreciate that.
Do you think they still make those? Should I try it? Oh, wait, we don't have toll baskets anymore. Boo. All right, thank you so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. We'll have Open Mic Friday tomorrow, and we're also going to speak with another business owner who is calling it quits after 62 years, a shoe repairman no more. Have a wonderful day. Scott Jennings is next.